You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of GHS-TV's award-winning talk show, Crosstalk. I'm your host, Scarlett Simpson. Each week in this time slot, we take a look at different issues, personalities, and events that affect you and our community. Fall theater season is in full swing. Some of the best theaters in Memphis have already started or are beginning to work on their upcoming seasons of shows. And with every new season, there are always a few new faces. Today, we will talk with some of the new faces in Memphis theater and hear their plans to make the fall theater season the best yet. Joining me now is Eric Newsom, the new Executive Director for Germantown Community Theater. Mr. Newsom, thank you for being on the show today, and congratulations on your new role.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, what are you most excited about?
Well, right now I'm rather intimidated because I did not realize that your station was such an award-winning station. So it's quite intimidating sitting in this chair. Congratulations for all the things you students are doing here. So the thing I'm most excited about, we're in our 46th season at Germantown Community Theater. We're getting close to that 50 mark. So we are going to have a fantastic 46th. Our plans are already underway for our 47th season for 18-19, and so I'm excited about writing that next chapter in that long and storied theater's history.
Well, what originally drew you to theater?
We've been doing, when I say we, my family and I have been doing community theater around Memphis for almost 10 years now. I did my very first show with Kerry Waltz. I think that's a well-known name in this part of town. So the story there, Scarlett, was my wife grew up doing community theater, and as our children got a little bit older, she wanted to get them involved in theater. That meant that for some season of time, I became what is known as a theater widow. And so after a couple of years of watching them spend the evenings at the theater and doing their thing, I was missing my family. And so I went and auditioned for a show, and it was just love at first sight. You get into this community of actors and actresses and all the backstage people and brilliant artists all throughout the community, and it is just easy to become smitten with theater.
Well, you have a very unique background. You have a multi-million-dollar corporation as well as a nonprofit organization. Can you explain all the things that you've done before joining GCT?
Absolutely. I like to think of things in seasons of life. So I'm out of college. I did the traditional corporate career for a number of years, managing engineering teams in telecommunications. And then I transitioned into entrepreneur season of life, where we started a local company here in Memphis. Historic Images is the name of the company, and they're still going strong over in East Memphis. And we developed a business model that would allow newspapers to digitize and database their extensive photographic archives. Millions of photographs, over 10 million photographs have been scanned and databased to date by the company. And so I sold my interest in that company to the gentleman that I co-founded it with 8 years ago. And now I'm venturing into that third season of life, the nonprofit arena. And so I'm anxious to write my own next chapter as well. And it's a labor of love, this theater, and looking forward to seeing what we can do and rolling up our sleeves and getting busy at GCT.
Well, how will you incorporate those past experiences into your present job?
Well, learning no matter what path you're on, the development of, say, management skills and how to run healthy organizations, how to run healthy budgets. It really doesn't matter what path you go through in life to achieve that skill set, be it corporate, be it in the small business world. The skills are the same. Hopefully the outcome and the product of the expertise that I bring to bear is the same. And so we'll apply just some very sound and fundamental business practices at the theater and make sure that we're running a healthy and sustainable organization.
Well, you mentioned before that your family is involved in theater. How does it feel having that type of support system?
Oh, it's fantastic. And so one of the real draws about theater community in general is we have such a strong sense of community. We really have each other's backs in this world of community theater, especially in the Memphis Mid-South area. It's a very rich performing arts scene, landscape, especially compared to other parts of the country. So not only do I get to participate on a daily basis with this wonderful community of artists and actors and producers and directors, which is fantastic, I get to then go home to a very talented family and we get to discuss these things around the dinner table, or do what we did last night and go to Huey's and discuss it around a Huey burger. So it's just really wonderful to have so much of your life devoted and connected to one thing that you have so much passion and energy about. So I'm very fortunate to be in the role that I'm in.
Well, it's been a little hard for Germantown Community Theater lately. How do you plan to turn that around?
This will go back certainly to some basic fundamentals of sound business management. We need to get back to managing our balance sheet very well, managing our budgets very well, and inspiring our staff, really developing our staff to get their skill sets to the next level as well. So I think if you do many of the things that are expected in the business world, apply in nonprofit arenas, I think if we do some of those, things will really start looking up in the very near term. And another thing that we'll do is we'll begin reaching out and building bridges with our donor base. As you know, community theater is supported by patrons who not only love to give you their money for a ticket, but above and beyond that, they understand the importance of performing arts, the importance of teaching performance arts to the next generation through our education programs. And when they understand that vision and get behind that vision and believe in that vision, we then love to partner with our donors to help us do what we do.
Well, Mr. Newsom, thank you so much for being on the show, and I'm excited to see your new season.
Well, thank you for having me again.
For more information about GCT's season, go to gctcomeplay.org. We have to take a short break. When we return, we'll chat with Brett Patterson of Orpheum Memphis about a camp very close to his heart. Stay with us.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Art program here integrates all the disciplines.
Teachers and students have a very close connection with one another, and that's how we work and communicate.
It's completely creative that they get to essentially design their own lessons.
I think it's great to be a part of this program because you get to have a very close relationship with your teachers as well as your peers.
Making art is self-discovery, and the world without art is a world without heart.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Hello and welcome back to Crosstalk. I'm your host, Scarlett Simpson. The Orpheum just kicked off its new season with the classic musical, The King and I. It's the second full season for the Orpheum's president and CEO, Brett Patterson, and his third season is already getting major buzz. We are so excited to welcome Mr. Patterson to the show. Mr. Patterson, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thanks for having me. It's always great to be here.
Well, Mr. Patterson, you came from Chicago. Looking back at your past year, what has been the big change?
Well, I think it's been getting to know the Memphis community and getting to understand how theater in Memphis is much more important to everyone than it is in Chicago. Chicago theater appeals to certain demographics and certain people, but Memphis loves the Orpheum and they love all the shows we do, and it's been great to get to know the community that way.
Well, you have already made many changes at the Orpheum, including the renaming and rebranding of the Orpheum Group. What other changes do you have in mind?
Well, we're continuing to expand our educational program. You know, we opened the Halloran Center for Performing Arts and Education in 2015, and that's allowed us to do so much more educationally than we used to do. So I think you'll see our education programs grow while we continue to make the Orpheum full of great Broadway and concerts and shows.
Well, which change are you most proud of?
I think the most proud moment so far has been being able to bring the Mending Hearts Camp to Memphis, which I think you want to talk about. I think that's something that's important to me and important to the community, and I'm very happy that we were able to do that last summer, and we'll do it again this coming summer.
Well, you did mention the Mending Hearts group. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. It's a performing arts camp for children who've experienced the death of a parent. So we use music, theater, and dance as the healing tools. We partner with Camp Good Grief, with Baptist Hospital's Camp Good Grief, for professional counseling that we provide the kids. And then we also bring in adults who lost a parent as a child so they can tell their story to the campers, which helps give the campers hope for the future. So it's a three-pronged camp. It's 2 weeks long. This past summer we had about 42 campers, and very rewarding. It's a personal mission, and I'm very pleased with it.
Well, you've worked in theaters across the country as well as theaters in Memphis. What drew you to theater?
I was born into it. I didn't know any better. I didn't have a clue that you were supposed to be a struggling artist, and I just didn't know that. So I've always done it. I started taking creative dramatics lessons when I was 5. Went to college for it, went to graduate school for it, and I've been lucky that I've been able to make a career out of it.
Well, you've evolved professionally from performer to scenic artist to set builder, and finally, you are an artistic administrator. How did those early jobs prepare you for the job you have now?
Well, that's a great question. I think the best theater managers, administrators, whatever you want to call them, started out as artists, because then we understand the artist and we understand what the artist wants, where they're coming from, what drives them, what motivates them, what's important, what really makes them perform well. So it's an interesting question, because now you can study arts administration in college, which you couldn't when I was young. And I think the people of my generation that are the best at it started out as artists. We'll see what the next generation brings.
Well, Mr. Patterson, you came to the Orpheum during a big change as the Orpheum launched its new education center. How did that feel?
Well, it's one of the reasons I came. It's one of the reasons I took the job. I've always loved Broadway, and I'm glad we're doing Broadway, but my second love is arts education. And the opportunities that we have with the Halloran Center are unlike opportunities we may have anywhere else in the country. So it was a big part of why I came. We're still trying to figure it out. We still have a lot of programs in the hopper that we're creating, and our performing arts series that's happening in the Halloran Center Theater is also expanding. So we're still figuring out the best way to use it, but it's really what brought me to Memphis.
Well, you've been recognized before on your impact in the communities that you work in. How do you plan on bringing that impact to the Memphis community?
I just try to do good work. I just try to do good work and allow the other people who work at the Orpheum. It's a great team, and I just want them to do their best. You know, the impact comes from doing good work, and the accolades may or may not come from doing good work, but it's about the work. That's all that matters.
For teens and young adults who are interested in pursuing a life in theater but are scared of the risks, what is one thing you would say to them?
Well, don't be scared. Fear is part of theater. Fear is part of the performing arts. I always say that every day we walk through fear. Every day we walk through fear. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Fear's healthy. Don't let your parents convince you to not follow what you want to follow, and remain flexible. You may want to go out and be an actress and end up being a theater manager like I am, but making a career in the arts is more important than the actual job you're doing in the arts. Does that make sense? That sounds funny, but be flexible.
Well, your upcoming show, An American in Paris, is opening at the end of the month. What can we expect to see on stage?
Well, it's a great telling of the classic movie. It was created and directed by a young man named Christopher Wheeldon, who's actually a ballet choreographer. So it's very choreographic in its movement, and it's a great way of telling the story. It's a beautiful story and a great telling of it.
Well, another thing, everyone is talking about the next season, Mr. Patterson. You're bringing Hamilton, the musical, to the Orpheum stage.
We are.
How did you book the hottest musical this year?
Like I said before, you just try to do good work. Just try to keep your head down. I'm very, very pleased that it's the first time Hamilton will be in the state of Tennessee. And really, it's the first time it'll be between Charlotte, North Carolina, Tulsa, Oklahoma, St. Louis, and New Orleans. So that whole big Mid-South region is going to have an opportunity to see it before a lot of other people in the country.
Well, Mr. Patterson, thank you again for being on the show, and I wish you luck on the rest of your season.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
For more information on the Orpheum shows and programs, you can go to their website, orpheum-memphis.com. We have to take another short break, but when we return, we will wrap up our show with a face you may recognize. Stay with us.
Is He Dead? Written by Mark Twain. Adapted by David Ives.
If you want to find out, is he dead? Call 755-7775 or visit www.ppp.org to reserve your tickets now. The show runs from October 26th to November 4th. Don't miss it.
One of the things that sets us apart from other schools or other productions that are doing this is that our kids are 100% in charge of what they're doing.
We sell the ads, we build the stage, we make the costumes.
Working in this environment, I've learned to appreciate everything that's given to me because not many high schools have programs like this.
When I first started in this program, my first musical was Hairspray. And now, 4 years later, I'm in my last musical, The Mystery of Edwin Drood. And looking back, I think I've progressed a lot.
To see them now as seniors and to see the people that they have become, it's changed me more than I think it's changed them.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Hello and welcome back to Crosstalk. I'm your host, Scarlett Simpson. The Poplar Pike Playhouse is getting ready to open its fall play Is He Dead later this month, and directing it is Germantown High School's newest theater teacher and alumnus, Jeff White. He joins us now along with senior Kyle Bowers, who stars in the play. Well, Mr. White, you are a 1997 alum of the theater program. Why come back?
I've always wanted to teach here. It's been a passion of mine to be back where I learned everything, and I always wanted to give back what was given to me, and so I'm just real excited to be back home. So.
Well, your family was also involved in the PPP in the past. How does it feel having a family who is involved in the same theater program as you?
It's great because we can share the same experiences together, and when I call them and talk about what we're doing here, they can relate to it. They understand what I'm talking about, and you know, and they're excited for me too, and they're there to support me and encourage me, and they're great, you know.
Well, besides directing, you are also teaching here at GHS.
Yeah.
How is this experience different than all the past experiences?
Well, it's the same, but it's different. You know, teaching is teaching wherever you teach, but it's a little bit more special when you're teaching in a room that you used to learn in, and so it's different for me in a way because I can see the tradition evolve. And I'm really glad to be part of that tradition again, and to help it grow and to help it become you know, the best it's ever been.
Well, speaking of the changing tradition, what do you want to bring to the PPP?
I just want to bring, you know, a lot of fun. I love theater, and I want everybody to love theater and to enjoy the experience and to get a lot out of it. And I want, you know, my students to have that same love of theater and excitement about theater that I did when I was here. So that's what I want to bring.
Well, you've done many things throughout your career, stand-up comedy, acting, and now directing. Can you take us through your repertoire?
Sure. Yeah, I've done a lot. I wanted to be an actor, so I moved to Los Angeles. I was in the educational theater company there for about a year. And played some interesting roles. We did shows for kids, like middle school kids and high school kids, about the dangers of drugs and STDs and gang violence. So that was a really interesting experience. And then I started teaching, but after I started teaching, I got interested in stand-up comedy. I was the in-arena MC for the Memphis Grizzlies for 4 seasons, which was a lot of fun. I wish I was the MC when they were actually good. That would have been interesting, but it was fun regardless. And then I always loved acting, and I'm glad I've had the chance to act in some community theater shows.
Well, how will you use everything you've learned as an actor and a director to teach others?
Well, I just, I feel really grateful about the training that I received in college, and I just want to give back again what I received. So everything that I do in my professional life and in my own educational life, I try to bring to my students as best as possible, and mainly just bringing that passion and that energy and that excitement, because I think that's so important, because that is the foundation. I mean, we're all doing theater because we love it. We caught that bug, and we gotta have it all the time. And I just want to fill my kids with that passion and enthusiasm.
Well, Kyle, you are the lead for the fall play Is He Dead? Can you give us a brief synopsis?
Well, Is He Dead is about the painter Jean-Francois Millet, and in this depiction of his life, he is in debt to an evil art person. I don't know his exact title, but Millet is struggling to sell his work so he can get out of debt, but then his inner circle of friends suggests to him that he should fake his debt so his work can start selling. So the play just follows his journey to decide whether he wants to be dead and rich or if he wants to remain alive and in debt.
Well, Mr. White, you performed this play at GCT in 2009, and now you are putting it on at GHS.
Yeah.
What part of this play sticks with you?
It's just so fun and silly and goofy, and it's great. We have the 2 Miets here right now, because I played Millet and Kyle plays Millet. So that's been a lot of fun to see his take on the character that I played. And it's just, I mean, don't you think it's fun?
Oh,
it's a blast, right?
Definitely.
Like, it's just so much fun. It's silly, it's goofy, it's a farce. There's a lot of mistaken identity and a lot of goofiness. And so I've always loved the play. I've always held that experience at GCT very close to my heart. I've always just remembered it so fondly, and I always thought it would be great for a high school too. So here we are.
Well, you did mention that you played Millet, and now Kyle is playing Millet.
Yeah.
How does it feel seeing a student in your rehearsals playing your role?
Well, it's surreal in a way, but also it's really rewarding. And in many aspects, Kyle, you're doing a lot better than I did. Because I'll see some choices that Kyle makes, and I'm like, why didn't I think of that? when I was playing the role. And I see it, I'm like, wow, he's got it. So it's fun to see that. And it's just fun to see a new interpretation, a different take on the role. And have I said he's doing a great job yet? He's doing a fantastic job, and everybody should come out and see Kyle because he's going to be amazing. And the rest of the cast are going to be fantastic. It's just going to be a lot of fun. Super silly.
Well, Kyle, the pressure is on for you. How does it feel in rehearsals knowing that your director was in the exact same spot as you?
Well, in the beginning, it was definitely very intimidating to know that he was watching me, and I didn't know if he was comparing my decisions to his decisions. But as rehearsals progress, he lets me know that he wants it to be a completely different version, and he doesn't want as many similarities as we think he would want, and he tells me to try new things and just trust myself. So it's a lot more comfortable than it was at the beginning for me.
What is the reaction you want to see in the audience when they see the show?
I just want people to love it as much as I do because it's such a funny show, and it's been hard to not break character during rehearsal just because it's so funny. And I hope the audience feels the same way and they understand it and just love it as much as we do in rehearsal.
And Mr. White?
I ditto. I totally agree. I mean, I think that audiences are going to be blown away. The cast is doing such a great job. The crew is doing an amazing job. Everybody's just working really, really hard. And it's just going to be so much fun. And I just want everyone to come, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. The acting is going to be amazing. All the other work that all the students are doing, because the students are doing it. I mean, it's not just the acting, they're doing all of it, and all of their work is tremendous, and everyone should come support it, be there, and while you're supporting it, you're going to have a great time.
Well, lastly, Mr. White, how does it feel to be back?
It feels great to be back. I mean, this studio is these chairs, by the way, are the most comfortable chairs. We didn't have these chairs when I was a student here. These are great. But no, it feels fantastic, and it's great, and everybody here, y'all are all fantastic, and I'm just glad to be here. I hope you guys are glad.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Well, Mr. White and Kyle, thank you for being on the show, and I'm excited to see what Is He Dead can do.
You too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is He Dead runs October 26th through November 4th. Go to ppp.org to reserve your seats today. We would like to thank all of our guests from the community theater for being here today. Remember, Crosstalk can be seen each week at 9:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Mondays and Thursdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 a.m. and 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Sundays. For more information on our programming, please check us out on the web at GHS-TV.org, where we are streaming live 24 hours a day. You can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Scarlett Simpson from all of us at GHS-TV. Thank you for watching Crosstalk, and I hope to see you again.